So, shallow foundation. So, what we have learned in the first 3 units is to do a design, you first of all need the loads, right? What are the loads acting on your foundation, right? And that loads can come from different disciplines. Say for example, if somebody is doing a bridge design, that load will come from a bridge engineer, because that bridge engineer will give you loads due to different conditions, right? If you are doing a foundation for a wind turbine, it will come from those who are doing the structural part. After you get the loads, then you have to find out the site conditions. By site conditions, what we mean is what is the ground profile. That means under your foundation, what is the ground layering? Is it sand, silt, clay, chalk? So what you want to have is a profile of the whole ground, right? Why is it important? Because say for example, you rest your foundation at a certain level, and below there is a soft layer. So when you apply the load, if it punches through, then you hit a soft layer, and that can be a big problem. So you must know the whole issues there, right? Once you know the ground profile, next step is to find out the engineering parameters. So what parameters you would need for design. Now those parameters are dependent on what are the design criteria, design conditions. So if you are looking into the ULS design, means ultimate limit state design, what are you looking for? What parameter is important? So looking into ULS means ultimate limit state. That means you're worried about the failure, the collapse. What would you look for? Parameters. I mean, strength or stiffness parameter. Strength parameter. So strength parameter means, so in a stress strain curve of the soil, so you will be looking into. So if it is a stress strain of the soil, you will look into which one? There, right? So that is your strength parameter. Yeah. So if you are doing an ultimate limit state ULS calculation, so you look for the maximum stress you can apply. That's a strength parameter, right? What test will you do? Somebody say you find out it's a clay soil. What test will you do? Well, you want to know soil stress strain curve, isn't it? Traction, yes. So you can do traction for a so you can do traction for any soil actually. So traction will probably give you those strength parameters. So at what load you see a failure plane occurring. If you remember your traction test, what you do, you take a sample, soil sample, yeah, and you apply pressure all around. Yeah, you remember you make a sample, and then you put it on into your chamber, you apply pressure all around, and then what do you do? Then you apply a vertical stress, isn't it? So you keep on applying the vertical stress, you keep on applying by a ram, loading ram, you apply the load vertically, and what do you see? At some point, you see a failure there, or it barrels, isn't it? That's the load at which it fails, the soil fails. And that's called the Q, derivative stress, And from Q, you can obtain the soil strength. Remember? Yeah? So that's a strength test. Because how you're linking it, if you have a footing on the ground, as the footing is being loaded gradually, you're also loading the soil underneath gradually. The load at which it fails will be quite similar to the load at which this load, isn't it? Yeah? Once certain soil reaches that load, that will start to deform, and that will create progressive collapse of the whole thing. Right? So you need a strength parameter. Right? This will tell you the ultimate limit state. That means at what load the foundation would collapse. The foundation would fail. Right? They will punch through in the ground. However, if I ask you, fine, suppose you found out that for your particular foundation, the ultimate load is say 200 kilonewton, but the load you actually apply is 50 kilonewton. I want to know how much will it settle. What would you look for? Stiffness. That means what you're looking for is somewhere this slope, right? And that is the stiffness. So you're looking into this is the stiffness, that's G, because this is shear stress, shear strain, that's shear modulus. So if you apply 1/4 is failure load, that means you are roughly, if I break into 4 parts, you are, yes, roughly there, isn't it? You apply the load way down. So you are governed by this part of the behavior, that is stiffness parameters. So depending on what you need to do, you got to choose right parameters, right? What else are the important parameters of soil? No, soil parameters. Soil means that how will you define soil? Say for example, how do we define a material like steel, concrete, aluminium, or whatever? How do we define it?
Density.
Young's modulus, yeah. Density, of course, it will come everywhere, because unless you know the density, you can't find out the self weight, right?
Permeability.
Yes. For soil, the important parameters are strength parameters, that is the undrained strength, SU, also known as cohesion, angular friction phi, permeability K. What else? Shear modulus G. That is stiffness. So this is the stiffness value, stiffness. These are strength parameters, and that is permeability. Okay. I think in one of the questions, tutorial sheet, there is a question number, I think 9 or something. It says, find out the tests. What are the tests available and what parameters they can give? Because if you're an engineer doing design, you got to first of all tell your client, I need these tests and for these parameters, and then they will procure those tests for you, right? And there are only few apparatus available: shear box, track shear, ring shear, something. So that is quite important to know what are the things that are required. And fourth is design criteria. So that means what are you designing against, right? So this ultimate limit state, SLS, serviceability, and the other things. Okay, so that was the whole thing. Next, foundation capacity. What does it mean? Foundation capacity means, in the context of shallow foundation, it means you have a load here, so that is, say, your foundation, and you're embedding it in this particular ground. Okay? Now you keep on applying the load. As you apply a load, this will be all stressed. Right? You are applying stress to this source, to this ground. At a particular load, you will see that it punches through. And basically, failure mechanism will be something like that. So this nose of soil will move down and go up. There can be heat here, right? The amount of volume loss will be compensated here, right? So you want to know at what load this thing triggers. At what load you have this failure, right? This is what you're all studying in your second year or third year? Third year. So this is quite a simple one. So basically, this is known as Terzaghi's bearing capacity equation. So Q ultimate is given by, ultimate means that the load at which it would fail. So Q ultimate will be in kilopascal, kPa. Its vertical load by the area of the foundation is given by NC, NQ, N gamma. So you can get the factors from codes of practices. The codes will give you these equations, or any textbook or wherever you can get the factors, NC, NQ, N gamma. And once you know the undrained strength of the clay, of the soil, you know your footing dimension, you can easily work out what is the ultimate bearing capacity, right? And from there you know what is the maximum load you can apply, right? Now this equation, can somebody tell me what is this based on? Where you can't apply or where you can apply? Yes.
Strict foundation on the ground surface of a homogeneous soil matrix.
Yes. So it means a stiff foundation. That means under a wall. Under a wall. So only vertical load. Only vertical load. Right? However, in most of these structures, what we encounter, there will be not only vertical load, lateral load, and moment. Right? How can you take into account there? So in most foundations, so what this will tell you, this particular equation will tell you about is so this particular equation will give you only vertical load, say V, right? Now if your foundation experiences a moment load and a lateral load, how will you do it? Have you ever learned that in your third year? Yes.
Convert the moment into an equivalent vertical force from eccentricity.
Yes. Okay, that's the moment. What about the lateral load?
Isn't there a factor, like an inclination factor?
Yes, yes, yes. Did you learn it in your PTO year or just taught in your lectures?
Third year.
Is it already taught?
Third year of placement combination.
Right. Yes, you're absolutely right. That's the way to do it by hand calculation. So, that means that this is well known, but when you have a moment acting on it and lateral acting on it, So V, M, and H, lateral load. How will you tackle that? Can you give me an example where you can get a large moment on a foundation? Any example? Where you get a large moment acting on it? Gravity? The gravity wall, yeah. Yeah, gravity wall, because if you have a surcharge, yeah? Okay? So, that's the sort of example of a strip foundation that you already know. And here the assumptions are resting on surface, homogeneous, and vertical load. And here are some examples. Yeah? Of a, suppose, if you want to build up a wall here, so you dig the ground, right? And in this example, what you can see, the foundation failed. It was a shell foundation. It failed because during earthquake, the ground can liquefy and your strength can come down to near zero line. Right? So in that case, you may see this sort of failure. Here's an example where I see a large moment loading. Right? That's a wind tunnel foundation. So this is a foundation which is here's a tower, and here we have got the blade. You get a very big lateral load there. You get the thrust of the wind. It gives you this thrust, applies a lateral load there, and this will give you a bigger moment there. So this foundation has got vertical load, moment, lateral load. And it was clearly not properly designed. As the wind speed increased, had a bit more higher load, it sort of collapsed. Okay. Now, in practice, you can do these things in a fine element software, right? But it is expensive. For example, a software Plaxis license costs something like £15,000 a year. So if you are doing a simple foundation design and ask your client to pay for that license fee, they will pay, right? So therefore, engineers will always use simple equations, Excel based, etc. to carry out calculations, right? So what's done? You know the formula for strip foundation, that CNC plus half gamma B and gamma plus gamma D NQ. That thing, you add some factors to work out for these complicated cases. Okay? And here are the factors given for that. So shear factor means the main equation was CNC and sigma b dash NQ and half gamma B and gamma. Now you start to add those factors to take into account different things, and these factors are given in codes of practices. What happened? The engineers did lots of calculations, and based on that, they figured out those factors and gave a closed form you can easily use and work out those things. Okay? So if you do the tutorial sheet questions, you'll be able to apply those formulas and get your hands around that. Okay. Now the interesting thing is, so that's the one we have done, and this particular example is already in your sheet. You can do it there. Okay. Now let us move to the moment and vertical load. So the problem is, so how we'll do it? Suppose for a particular foundation, you have got a vertical load and a moment. So that's the most difficult one, because if you have a lateral load, it's normally taken by the friction, because you have got a lot of friction here, right? So the critical one is moment and the vertical load. Okay. Now, how do we tackle this? Now, in this simplified way, how we tackle is, we first of all find out what is the eccentricity. So, is moment by vertical load. What it means? It means I can make this problem equivalent. So, by saying that the load is acting, so if I do a diagram here, so here we having a vertical load V and a moment there, right? Now if we do this M by V, what I can say is that the load is acting here. So here is the vertical load V and that is E. Now they are similar. Do you know why? Okay, so this comes from your first in mechanics. Say here is a vertical load V, right? I can have another load here V and another load there V. It's same, isn't it? Yeah? These two cancel out. Now if I do a simple trick, saying I combine these two, what do I get? So what do I get? So I can then say that moment, yeah? So I can say this is quite same as a vertical load V here with a moment like that. Yeah? Same thing. So what we are doing effectively for this problem, we are trying to convert a problem from Vm to V only. Only V problem. If I know only V problem, then I can go back and use my earlier equations. Yeah? So we are converting a problem V, vertical load, moment, lateral load, into a vertical load only problem. Yeah? How do we do it? So as we did it here, similarly, we will try to shift the vertical load at E apart to make it only vertical load problem. So we only shift it here. So we move the load at V at distance E. So we convert the problem from Vm into only vertical problem at E. E is the distance, right? And then what we say, actually this is the area. So you double this area. So this is the effective area for V load, right? So what we then do is this problem is quite similar. I will have a reduced area of footing. So the problem now becomes, so that is actually effective area of your footing, and you solve the problem with V only. So this problem becomes this problem. Yeah? So that means this problem, having a full area like that, became only this much of a problem with only V here. Yeah? Can someone tell me what is this distance? If this is B, this is B by 2, this is E, so this distance, half of this distance is B by 2 minus E times double, right? Yeah?
So you have a moment of a force, vertical force. What would you do if you had a moment only and not a vertical force? So you don't have that balance. I presume it's the same thing, but
You will only have particle because self-weight is there.
okay.
So unless you take it to the moon, there will be some,
Okay.
isn't it? So you will always have a vertical load. Otherwise, you can't have a. But that's the interesting question, how you do it. Think of it. But probably it is a interest, but actually, yeah, how you do it. Yeah. But actually, it will never happen.
Okay.
It will never happen. Okay, now this is easy for a square footing, yeah, square or rectangle, right? What for circular? So if you look into this wind turbine problem, yeah, how will you do for those shapes? So here is the sort of method, yeah. How will you do for a circular footing? By the way, this thing is taken from API code of practice. API code of practice. In the notes is given there, right? API, DNV, all the codes give you this way to do it. Yeah? Now, how will you do for a circular footing? So I think in the exam last year, year before, there was an equation about there was a problem about this circular footing. Okay. Now, if you have a circular foundation, say for example, here is the footing. So you have got vertical load here and a moment. So you know V and M. Any idea? How do you do it?
Circular?
Yes.
You know the equation of an ellipse?
But this is not ellipse. This is
It's
not ellipse.
If you shift the sensor and you do a little bit there, it will become an ellipse.
Ellipse will be x squared by a squared plus y squared like b squared equal to 1, isn't it?
Mm.
And circle is x squared plus y squared is r squared. You close there. Okay. So again, what we are doing here, find out e. The similar way, we will find out the e, which is m by v. Say that is the eccentricity e. Right? So you have, that is the area. Again we can double it, right? So that becomes an effective area. That is the effective area that will be taking the load. So we can convert the only vertical load with this area, right? Now find out this area. Yeah? And then, but our vertical load equation is only valid for square footing, is a square or rectangular. So what we do there, let's say area is A, effective. We will find out a similar rectangular area, the same area A as A effective, where this L and that B, the ratio of this is same as the ratio of this area here, this length there. Yeah? Now, let us work out what this distance is. So, so that is E, right? And from here to here is R, isn't it? Radius. So therefore, this one is, what's that? R minus E. Yeah? R minus E. And what is this distance? Anybody? This one? Distance? Now what is this?
R.
R. What is this?
E.
What is this? So this would be root over R squared minus E squared, isn't it? Yeah? Times 2. The whole length. Right? And this one. So, what the code says, that B by L it will be equal to this by this. So, this one is 2 times R minus E. And that one is 2 times R squared minus E squared. So what you will get from here? So I can write this one as square root of R minus E into R plus E, and here is R minus E. This becomes square root of R minus E by R plus E. Yeah? Becomes quite simple, isn't it? So the whole way is, first of all you have a VMV problem. You convert it into a only vertical problem by having an effective area which is of this shape. You can then convert, once you know the area, you will know B times L. The same area as this one, right? Same area as So one equation is B times L is A effective. This is one equation. And you get A effective from this E and R. Right? And another one is B by L is square root of R minus E by R plus E. And you can get B and L, you get this shape, then you can work out your bearing capacity. Yeah? You can only learn this thing by doing a problem. So therefore after this thing, you will start to do problem. That will make things clear for you. Yeah? And if this comes in exam, it will be one good question out of 4. Okay, if it comes. It normally comes every year, more or less, in a slightly different form. But I am not saying it will come again this year. It might come. Yeah? Because you have to have a problem which is a bit, you don't give an equation based thing, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, right. Now, how do you find out the area there? How do you find out the area of this thing? Can I rub it? This one? So now the next part of the problem is, this, that's E, right? This is E, and you may have to find out the area of this one. Yeah? Any idea how we can do it? The area of this? Okay, so let's do something like that, construction, right?